Peace. This is Star with the Star Blooms. How y'all doing? Um, Rich Rising. Okay, I'm literally up. I've been up. Like sleep this week has been bonkers. That's what all of this stuff means, y'all. Okay, the the new moon, everything that's happening. The 21st. It's just been a lineup of energy, the downloads, the dreams. My goodness, meditation, the channels, everything has been amplified. Everything has been. Those who know, so keep up the good fight, y'all. I know y'all out here holding on. Don't give up. All right, okay. So I wanted to share about something that my team has basically been channeling through me for like a couple of weeks. And the reason is for a lot of reasons, but the biggest part is really, really being able to walk in the new state of self, right? A lot of the times we convince ourselves that we are lacking in something, and it takes us removing things off the table for us to fully be able to perceive through integration, through transmuting, and through properly, accepting and even detaching from certain states of ourselves as we are moving through, relinquishing the ego, all right? When you're dealing with the ego, a lot of the times we believe ego to be something that is extremely negative. However, depending on what type of journey you've had within yourself, your ego, that's not even true, to be honest, just in general, okay? Your ego is what has basically been keeping you in this comforted cushion state, all right? It's the thing that basically warns you. It's the thing that is like sometimes the inhibitor. It creates a space of safety in its own way, based off of conditionings, based off of environmental, stressors and so on and so forth, right? It gets deeper than that. But for the gist, it's really, really something that's been about keeping you positioned in a place that could provide comfort and safety for you, right? So when you go into a rate of integrating ego into the heart space to realign, to have a better, I say chain of command, but to be true to the threshold that you actually allowed yourself to anchor in at this point, recognizing that the ego wasn't really doing anything wrong, but it has to surrender at this point. Irregardless, you have to start to build beyond the patterns that you've been operating from, right? So, one of the ways that my spirit team had painted it for me was being able to live beyond the con in confidence. And a lot of the times when we hear the word kind, we just think automatically negative. But for this little tidbit, okay, really it's just confusion versus confidence. You know, when you think about confusion, you're thinking about something that is mixed up, something that is basically, placed together, not necessarily cohesive. Um, if you're thinking about like a state of being or a state of feeling, it's a disheartening thing. It's something that doesn't, it lacks, you know. And as I stated, as we've been on our journey, until we get to a certain rate within ourselves, we believe that we are without whatever that without is. It's a process that we're working through, right? So when you're dealing with certain race of integrating, basically now you know truths about whose it is you are, about who you are, about what your me and your I be, because you are, right? There's things that are sure, which is what confidence is. Confidence is trust within self. It's to trust. A lot of the times we believe people who are confident are basically full of themselves. I believe that someone who carries confidence has access to information and wisdom based off of experience. Your confidence doesn't come from, it can, because some of us are born with it. Um, but I believe you prove to yourself, that you could trust you, right? And I think that that's where we're at now. A lot of us are waking up to a new level, whatever that may mean for us, right? And in this waking up, right? In this remembering, in this accepting of, right? We have these opportunities to basically do the new thing in the new mindset with the new tools, right? Walking into the new opportunities at this new beginning, right? In this 10-1 year that we're coming into, right? We recognize in these new spaces how a lot of the things that we previously perceived to be a thing that we feared, something that we may have been scared of, were really, really just a little jitters, basically because we didn't know. And in these unknown spaces, we've allowed ourselves to now radiate and actually cultivate that which what we were calling in, recognizing that we had to release and purge to make way for the things that were coming, being confident in knowing that the things that you have requested aren't necessarily just what you require for you to basically get through this next state, but they're what's actually requiring you. Being at a space where you've actually allowed yourself to rest and recognize, and instead of going out there and chasing the thing that you believe to have desired previously, you just had to allow your nervous system to regulate. You had to allow yourself to be at a space where you knew that you weren't just wishing for, but you were actually aligning to the truth that you are, your birthright, right? It's a big thing. Why is this important? With so much going on in the world, having key things in alignment for, I believe that everything is, you have to be at a rate to where you're preparing for it, right? So it's like we don't always have the opportunity to always cushion ourselves. That's ego. But we do have the opportunity to place tools around us, knowing that things will come down the line, knowing that we'll need these tools because there are certain, yeah, channels, cycles in life that are occurring regardless, right? We get to be at a new rate within self because we allow ourselves to be holistic and be preventative. Goodness gracious, it took me a while to get that out. 707. We allow ourselves to be preventative. We're actually creating an environment that actually allows us to be in our highest, most aligned and divine timeline. Confidence isn't a form of just looking at yourself at a certain rate, believing yourself to be something that you aren't, operating out of delusion, wanting to, manifest this different state of being. Confidence is something that you've willed from within based off of surety and security. It's a trust that you have cultivated. You're coming into a relationship with yourself, hopefully balancing your masculine and your feminine, recognizing that the oversoul that you've basically been trying to acquire had always lived within. You just had to allow yourself the space for grounding and recognizing, knowing that we're actually in these new spaces, allowing what has, come to basically go and releasing as we saw fit. There's been so much room made for all of the things that you have been calling in. If you're in a space where you're allowing confusion to be deposited into you from every which way, you're just mixing up clunks of like debris into something that you've cultivated that is extremely pure and sacred. It's a pure trust that you have with you. You aren't the same person making the decisions that you previously made. You aren't the same, you know, you're not at the same space that you were when you may have came into the vortex that you believe that you are coming into now. Those opportunities that may have basically been closed and that are now opening up. You're not in a position to where you have to be so boggled down with fear and anxiety, believing to come into the same experience as it was the last time. Recognize the newness in it. Allow yourself to be who it is that you now remember yourself to be, and integrate in the ways that you know that you could trust, because that's where your true confidence is. Release the confusion and don't allow anybody to deposit something that you've allowed to be ridded out of your system because it's not who you are and it doesn't fully represent what it is that you're cultivating. Peace. I hope this message finds you well, and I hope that y'all could use it as, a form of like really, really affirming over yourself and just continuing to be as sure as possible. All right. I love y'all. Peace.